Hello, welcome to the Jewish Deaf Congress, JDC, video series on the Jewish deaf authors. My name is Brianne Burger. I'm honored to be here with Eugene Bergman. He's a writer and a playwright. He will share his rich experience in the publishing world. And he will share his motivation as a writer, as a deaf man, and as a Jewish writer. Hello, Eugene. I'm excited to start with the first question. Tell us briefly about your book.
Yes, I wrote two books and one play. The first book, let's see here, Tales from a Clubroom. Now, this book is about a deaf club's treasurer who took the funds for his drug habit.
Oh, wow, I didn't realize that.
The second was written about Bragg, a famous deaf actor. Bragg is also known as the king of deaf actors. He is considered one of the best out there. The book best describes his life experiences and his relationship with his father. In addition, how he succeeded in becoming famous. Now, the third book is about my experience during World War II. It's called Survival Artist. Survival Artist is a remembrance of how I lived through it. For 6 years during the war, I was starving all the time. I never had enough food. And I was scared because they were searching all over for Jews to kill. Also, I made a film about my life in the Warsaw Ghetto. It was one of the biggest ghettos for Jews in the world. They were dying of hunger and watched them kill people for their pleasure. At last, my family and I were able to escape. After that, we spent time in hiding. We didn't tell anyone we were Jews. If they caught us, they would kill us fast. And what is your next question?
Okay. Well, thank you for sharing with us. And it's really important. I appreciate that you went ahead and documented your experience. It's really important for us to know for our future generations too. So we will not see a repeat, for us to not forget and not repeat. So thank you for sharing those stories. So, what was your inspiration for writing the books? Do you believe it was your faith in Judaism? And also your deafness that played a motivation in your writing?
I want to show everyone that no matter what happens, good will overcome evil. Hitler lost, and the Jews are still thriving and living. Even though we lost so many Jews, we kept going, and we stay strong for Israel now. To support us, and if anything happens, we can move to Israel. Now, Tales from the Clubroom describes experiences from the time when deaf clubs were spreading everywhere. But now it's shrinking because of the internet, iPhones, and all that. It's a new time for the deaf people.
I miss the clubs. I used to go to a few of them when I was younger. Today, it's withering away, and now because of the pandemic, too. Hopefully, it'll make its comeback someday. Hopefully, when the pandemic is over. I do see the value in the clubs. The next question I have for you, is there anything you want people to learn from your book? Any really important messages for them?
I'd want them to know about deaf life in the last century, how deaf people's success is growing and developing, and oralism is becoming less and less popular. Sign language is becoming recognized. These are exciting times.
I agree.
Second, life through terrible times. Germans killing 6 million Jews. I was an eyewitness there. I documented in the book to describe what happened so people won't forget. Anyway, people are already starting to forget, but that's life.
I don't think people have forgotten. I think it's because not enough people are being educated. I think we need to continue to educate future generations as much as we can. That's why I'm thrilled about you doing an interview with us, so we can continue to keep educating people. The more opportunities we have to educate, the less chance we'll have to repeating of history.
On the other hand, sometimes people don't forget horrible times, but to repress them. It's like scratching a wound to society. To constantly remember is to constantly scratch the wound and not let it heal. Maybe it's better to forget? I don't know.
Good point, but still, thank you for documenting it anyway. My next question is, can you share your experience of how you got your book published? Was it easy or hard to get it published?
For me, it was easy, but I was lucky. My play and book about the actor Bragg was easily published by Gallaudet University Press. It was no problem because Bragg and I had good relations with Gallaudet. And also, the book about my war experience, I was truly lucky. After I finished typing the story, I sent it to the first 5 publishers. Word got around, and it got accepted and printed by a publisher. I hit the first 5 publishers and got accepted. I was really very lucky.
I'm curious, that publisher house was Jewish run too? Or just attracted to your story?
No, it was a recommendation, and publishers cannot influence. Times are changing. Big publishers can't do recommendations anymore. Instead, you must find a literary agent to make the recommendation. So first, you must find a literary agent to accept your book, and then they recommend it to the publishers. So all I can say is, work hard and you'll succeed.
Great advice to live by, I agree. My last question for you, what do you want other new Jewish staff writers to know? What advice do you have for them?
Write about what you know. As a deaf person in a world controlled by sound, well, as a deaf person in a world controlled by sound, write about how people treated you as a deaf person, and control what is considered successful. That kind of a world was not made for deaf people. Deaf people have learned somehow to adapt to that world. Describe your experience with the hazards of deafness. Write about the deaf experience out there, with one exception of living in a closed world. Gallaudet University is the only place where I felt like a normal person, if you will. For all the deaf people like you. Outside, it is a different world where people try to change you, to accept you. You should write about that.
Thank you. I truly appreciate your advice. Do you have any other last words for our audience? Anything you want people to remember from now on? You already shared some wonderful things, so I'm sure you have many more.
My last words would be deaf power.
I love it.
Bye-bye.
Thank you so much. Eugene, it really is an honor to talk with you. What you've gone through, I can't imagine. So it's truly so inspiring to have this conversation with you. Really, thank you for taking this time to do this.
Thank you, and you are welcome.
Bye-bye. I'm closing the interview now.
Bye-bye now.